Well, join us tonight as we do our own custom barrel pick with R.M. Rose Distillers. Now, what we're actually doing tonight is we're recreating the barrel pick that McFarland 400 and Turtle Creek Wine and Spirits did a little while back. It's on our channel. And it's a fairly long video, so I won't show you all the highlights, but we'll put a link in the description, and we'll show you a few highlights in post, just so you know where this is all coming from. McFarland and Turtle Creek basically selected 3 barrels in their barrel pick. Barrel 3602, 175, and 161. R.M. Rose was so kind to send us the media samples. They're currently being produced, being bottled to send out to those 2 bottle shops so we can do our own little reviews and tell you what we think of it. Now, we were behind the scenes. We got to taste all these bourbons, but I never got to sit down and actually rate them because I was too busy filming. Well, tonight we're going to do just that. So we're going to start off with the first bourbon is barrel number 3602. They also call this the Founders Private Select. It is their barrel program. It is 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley. It's 6 years and 4 months and is 115.7 proof. And we got out these minis here because this is the lowest proof of the 3, so I don't want to get too crazy, so I got the mini Glencairns out tonight. Let's see what the aroma's like. Wow. I do get the rye, but it's it's not crazy strong. A lot of typical bourbon notes there: molasses, brown sugar, some oak, maybe some vanilla. It's not a strong aroma, but it's a pleasant aroma. Wow. Cheers. Nice. I do get a lot of rye spice up there, but it's not bitter. It's not too peppery. It's actually sweeter than I expected, and it's rich. Wow. This is not an objectionable rye at all. I have a couple of rye whiskeys I actually like. So depending on how the rye is processed, how it's put into the mash, any number of factors, sometimes I will like a rye. I like the rye that's in this bourbon. It's sweeter and richer than I expected. I'm sure I tasted this behind the scenes, and I don't remember it tasting this good. I'm going to write up my score and cleanse my palate, and we're going to go on to the next one, which is a 4-grain. Oh yeah, I like a good 4-grain. Barrel number 175. This is a 4-grainer. 86% corn, 6% rye, 6% wheat, and 2% malted barley. Really low on that malted barley. Aged 4 years, 5 months. It is 130.7 proof. We're going up, baby. Going up. Well, on the aroma, I tell you, it is. I'm getting a lot of corn there, a lot of corn sweetness. I actually can pick up the wheat. You know, wheat, some people will call it a funk. I think that's kind of a degrading comment. Wheat in bourbon has a different smell, and it, like it always says, if you've ever smelled a Pop-Tart warm out of the toaster, just the uncoated kind, that's what it reminds me of. A wheat in the bourbon reminds me of a fresh Pop-Tart. Can't help it. I'm sticking with it. Get a little Pop-Tart there. I also get some medium to dark fruit in this one that I didn't get in the other one, because that rye spice I think kind of took over. Wow. Cheers. Now this one is a lot different. This one's actually more grain forward than the high rye, and not quite as sweet. It's got a good sweetness to it, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite as sweet as 3602. Not quite as sweet as my favorite 4 grains, but 4 grain all day long. Wow. It is rich though, and on the finish is complicated. Baking spices, definitely some strawberries or cherries or something like that. Maybe not cherries, but something like in the strawberry family, maybe raspberries. Strawberries, raspberries in the finish, kind of a dry fruit. The finish is actually better than the first barrel. I like the finish better than the high rye. We're going to cleanse our palate again, write up our scores, and come back for the final barrel tonight, barrel pick, which is a wheater. Oh yeah, we'll be right back. So in the next one, we're going to barrel 161, which is 75% corn, 16% wheat, 9% malted barley. 5 years, 3 months, another fairly high proof at 129.7. And if you haven't watched the video, he's got a really cool electronic tool that he puts in there and sucks in the bourbon, and he has to watch those numbers fall and rise until it kind of settles, and he knows instantly what the proof is. And I'd like to have one of those, but he told me what the price was, and I ain't buying one. So, barrel number 161. Oh, that's a healthy pour, but it is a small Glencairn, right? That's the last one, so, and it's a wheater. Well, that's a nice color. That is beautiful. Looking back at my scores, they're kind of up and down, but there's nothing really like out there right now. They both have their pluses and minuses in the first two. Could this win it all? Could the high rye be the favorite of the night? I don't know. Could be. Let's see what this wheater is like. Barrel 161, 129.7 proof. Woo! Dang. Now, I pick up the wheat. First thing I picked up, that Pop-Tart goodness, baby. Oh, yeah. Strawberry Pop-Tarts with no frosting, thank you. That aroma is really great. That's my jam, my strawberry jam. Wow. Cheers. Oh my. That is spicier than I expected. 16% wheat, 9% malted barley. It's kind of right in the middle of the corn percentage at 75. But wow, that's got a punch of flavor. I would say it's the similar sweetness as the high rye, but that strawberry Pop-Tart comes right across in the flavor. I am getting a medium to dark fruit. I've got that wheat goodness. I've got some baking spices. I think I picked up some vanilla in the taste. I remember liking this so much. The things you didn't see, sometimes Joe would ask me, like, you want to sip? As he was drawing his drawing the bourbons out to put in, I don't know, it reminded me of like a mixing cup you use for baking, measuring cup. It was a measuring cup. And he was drawing the stuff out, and he had this really nice, I think it was copper. I forget what you call this thing, but you put your thumb on it, you put it in, and it draws it out. And he puts it into this measuring cup. And he goes out there and just pours it into everyone's glasses. And he kept asking me all the time, like, you want to try this? You want to try this? So, I'd put down the camera. I didn't want to put that. I really couldn't film myself doing it. So I got to taste a lot of what the crowd got to taste, but in a lot of cases, I didn't know what it was. I knew it was barrel such and such. And I'm going like, well, I don't have one of these cheat sheets in front of me to tell me what's in the barrel. And I'm going like, well, no, that's good. What is it? Well, that's the wheater, or this is the 4-grainer. I remember really liking this. Well, the finish. The finish reminds me a lot of the 4-grain, except that Pop-Tart goodness, that strawberry and that wheat and raspberry or whatever those dark fruits are in there, stays with you with a little bit of baking spice. And it's oily like the 4-grain. Very pleasant finish. So I am going to write down my scores on this and kind of see where we're at. And I will tell you what my favorites are. 1, 2, 3. But all 3 of these are wonderful. But I do have a favorite. Be right back. So before we get into the ratings, I wanted to thank Andy, the owner, and Joe, the distiller. Andy's the master distiller, or as Joe calls him, the master of disaster. Andy's an ex-race driver, NASCAR style. I understand his dad, who was a moonshiner, actually got arrested for it. So there's a long history there. If you've not watched the video, you've got to see the little portion where, you got to see the segment where Andy talks about his dad. It's great. And if you've discounted R.M. Rose as somebody that can put together a fine quality bourbon, well, I'm telling you, don't. These are all fine quality bourbons, a high rye, a 4-grain, and a wheated bourbon. I would have no problems drinking any of them. Do I have my favorites? Sure I do, as anybody would. So let's talk about the scores. Barrel number 3602. 60% corn, 36% rye, 4% malted barley, 115.7 proof. Probably one of my favorite high ryes that I've tried recently. I obviously steer away from a lot of high ryes, and I have several, looking over here, high ryes that I'm just not that big of a fan of. This one, I'm a fan of. Now, normally would I buy it? I probably wouldn't normally buy it, unless I got to taste it first, of course. But having tasted this, would I buy it? I absolutely would. So where does that rank tonight? It actually ranks second. So we'll place it a little bit forward in the second column. Barrel 175, the 4-grain. 86% corn, 6% rye, 6% wheat, 2% malted barley, 130.7 proof. The scores were very similar to my high rye, but what I really looked at is that taste, between the taste of the high rye and the taste of the 4-grain. I actually like the high rye better. So the high rye just by a smidgen beat out the 4-grain. So the 4-grain stays in third place, which, no surprise here, probably if you've been watching the video. First place for me is barrel 161. 75% corn, 16% wheat, 9% malted barley, 129.7 proof. Woo! It doesn't drink like 129.7, I promise you. My average, I rated just, I'm not reading off all the scores, but the aroma, I gave it 3.5 stars. The taste, I gave it 4.5 stars. That's almost perfect for me. And the finish, 4 stars. It was just, there was just nothing that wasn't great about this wheated bourbon, barrel 161. And I will tell you that I will be first in line to buy a bottle of this 161 when it comes out. I'm a big fan of it. So tonight, the wheated bourbon in first place, the high rye, a surprise there, in second place, and the 4-grain in third place. Anyone betting on this show probably would have lost. Wow, surprises me. We hope you will like this video, comment, and share. And we've got more barrel picks coming up. We absolutely do. And the next one will surprise you. So, as always, please drink responsibly. Never drink and drive. I'll grab my little weeder over here. Cheers, and see you next time.